Yeah, I
It's
guess,
road, guys.
I guess first you have to know how much of a budget you have for your podcast. And then you can work from there. There are lots of mics that you can use. But if you would ask me, I would rather invest on a good mic rather than going with the cheap ones. So if you really want to pursue your podcast, get the right pod mics or programs.
From a road
Oh my
perspective,
gosh.
from a road perspective, also think about your use case, how you actually want to do your podcast. Do you want to do a sit down?
Sit down.
Yeah, sit down, if it's so you can start with like a pod mic. Pod mic comes with an XLR, so you have to think that you would actually have to mean that's just a connector and you would need something to run it. But we also do a pod mic USB, so it means that you can just take the pod mic and plug it directly into your computer. So you can so get around with a lot of different things.
Okay.
And so you've got this in kind of a formal setup. If you're going to do more out in the street running around, maybe you want to go to a wireless handheld microphone. So there's you got to think about how you want to actually use it.
Anyone else?
Oh, you
It's all give chance.
Wow. You can whisper the question. I want to know your second question.
That's our question.
What's your second question? She has a list, guys.
So I was told also earlier, because I actually researched a little bit about it as well, and people also suggested that if you really just have an iPhone, you can already use that to capture the content needed, but is it really going to be as good? Or is it really going to be enough to like start it off? Or would you really suggest no, get a camera to go along with the microphone as well, just so that both audio and video are of quality?
Yeah. In terms of the pandemic, we actually started with one camera only, one DSLR. I believe that was the 5D, Canon 5D. And then the problem was I wanted to show more angles of the podcast. So what I did was I plugged in via NDI my iPhones. So I have two old iPhones and then my new iPhone, and then I use that as additional cameras. So that's possible. But definitely if you'd like to make it a quality podcast, you really have to invest on a camera, a good camera. But yeah, iPhones or Android phones are good enough for podcasting.
Are my invites from Power Mac Center here? Are they here? Yeah, because for me, like what you said earlier, the most valuable camera that you have is the one that you have with you. So if it's an iPhone that you're gonna use, they have such great Rode has such great products to go with iPhone, right? Because you really need to nail the audio. Even if it's like, you put it far from you and then you expect that tiny mic all the way across the room, like 8 feet from you to pick up what you're saying. I would spend that. I would say that's one of the first spends, right? Is something to just make your phone better. But then when you start going to sitting down like this, then you have like a DSLR or even the iPhone. And you just roll with it. You can't force it. But if you don't want to buy it and you want higher quality production right away, that's why we created the space. Wherein all the top of the road stuff's here for you to try, and then when you feel like, you know what, I hate going to Estancia, I want to shoot this thing at my own studio, then you see it, because we're kind of like the first line of, this studio in particular is like the first line in being able to try their stuff in this kind of an environment, instead of just being at the store and kind of having a feel for it.
Or you can go creative. I haven't seen a podcast that's walk and talk. So you can use your phone and you can work on it.
You got the mic.
Thanks for the idea. Putting that in my notes also. I asked my questions earlier also, so it's okay.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Hey guys, how you doing? So yeah, I guess my question's more about like what is so this is Danny and I'm Justin. What's up, Danny?
Hey, let's go.
All right, so we started a podcast back in like 2019, 2020, and so just like you, actually, we did the whole StreamYard thing and all that. But then just like you, Nino, when people started going to work, we also started going to work. And so, we dropped off the podcast live stream scene, right? And so I guess my question is more about the state of podcasting right now in the Philippines. Because back in the day, you did have a lot of viewers, you did have a lot of downloads and all these things. So now, what is the market like for podcasts currently? Let's say both in live streams and also in downloads.
So the thing is now, I've seen Spotify, the new updates now feature videos on Spotify. So more people are going to Spotify rather than Facebook, or YouTube for that matter. But right now, I've been seeing new podcasts that are on video. So I guess in terms of the state of podcasting here in the Philippines, I could say that there are not a lot of Filipinos, but a lot of people would like to start it. I guess if there's a community of podcasting, it would be better, so that we could generate more new podcasters in the Philippines.
For me, I follow a few international podcasters, right? And it's really, you always have an audience, whatever you want to talk about. It's just a matter of how many people are actually going to listen, right? Or want to see you. But in terms of like, even in the news, in North America right now, you've got a totally different source of news now with individuals that are relaying and broadcasting kind of like on the other side of how things are done. And it's so strong, this platform, this medium, right, in particular, that I would love to see more podcasters that actually engage. I have this client that we're ironing out the details for her podcast, and she wants to talk about menopause, Filipina, right? So it's a very sensitive issue, but then half of the population is going to go through it, and no one in the Philippines talking about it. So I know there's going to be a lot of people watching it locally. And essentially, it's also the same way Michelle started, my wife, because when we got our fourth kid, she was born with Down syndrome, and no Filipino talked about it. No Filipino wrote about it. So when she started looking for information, everyone she got information from were either European or North American. And she said, you know what, let's start something. So started that. There's so many avenues, there's so many things that we can talk about. It's just, someone's got to start it.
And yeah, speaking of opportunity, there's a huge opportunity for creators since there are not a lot of podcasters in the Philippines. So I guess it's time people should start.
Like you and me should start one.
It looks like you have one right now.
I've known this guy when we started Grappler 12 years ago. I've known him because he's like employee number 30, one of the first ones. This is the most I've heard him talk. But it's good, it's good. Yeah, me and friends are good.